Hello? Hey, Hank.
Hey, Patrick, how are you?
Man, what's going on, brother? How you doing? I'm good, man.
I'm glad to hear that, man. I know you're working hard, man.
Man, dude, that's not even half of the story. I feel like James Brown up in here, man.
Ain't nothing wrong with that, man.
You're in our radar, man. We gotta talk.
Okay, just call me anytime,
I
man.
know, I know, man. I know your line is always open to me, brother. Hey, Alderman, or is that Cornelia? What's up, Tori? Hey, Jim.
Hey, Patrick.
Alderman Patrick. Good evening. Hey, what up, T? Hey, Lena.
Yeah.
Hey, I realized I didn't have you in my email list. I don't know how that happened, but Eric just told me to make sure I have you on the email distribution. So I just forwarded you, a meeting series. Our
Oh.
regular, yeah. So
Yeah, I see it now. Thank you.
okay, yeah. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, no worries.
I don't want you to tell Dave. Good evening, Miss Charity.
Is this everybody has their cameras off night?
I'll be on in 1 minute.
Yeah, that's very funny, David. That's pretty good. It seemed that way, didn't it?
It sure did.
How are you, sir?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good.
Good evening, Ms. Reed.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Can you all see the screen? All right.
Yes.
Hey, Dorian.
Hey there. How are you tonight?
Hey, 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 hey.
Hey, Patrick.
Who's that? Who's that?
Pat Hill.
Hey. How are
I
you
was able
doing?
to make it after all.
Girl, you know you're the real one. Thanks for signing up tonight. I love it. Hey, Norma.
Hey, Patrick. Hi, everyone. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good to see you, Norma. Melinda, I haven't seen you in a while. How you doing?
Hi, for you, Jim. How's the things going?
Things are going well. Thank you for asking.
Hey, Cornelia.
Hola, hola, ¿qué pasó?
Uh-oh. 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 Okay, this turned into a 15th ward meeting. That's good. Habla español. ¿Qué pasó, señorita?
Sí. Just have to make the best of it. I'm still at the office.
Yes, yes, yes. All right, I think we'll just give it maybe 2 more minutes before we start. I feel like we just need some more community in the room here. Although we
Yeah.
have 28.
28?
Yeah, and I will I would like all presenters this evening to take no more than 10 minutes for your updates. We'll show the agenda shortly when we start, but all presenters, maybe Dorian might need a few more minutes, but everybody else should
Keep it tight. I know there's always a packed agenda.
No, it's not that it's packed. I just want to make sure that we are succinct tonight, get in, get out.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's been a while. I don't want to have a 90-minute meeting tonight, even though
No, we
you know,
don't.
we could easily have a 90-minute meeting. I'm sure that we haven't been together for a while. We want to keep it nice and short, so that we don't burn people out. Give them a reason to come back the next month.
Yes. All right, just a minute, guys. The alderman is here. Let me get him situated, okay?
Yep. Thank you. What's going on, Ryan? JB.
Hey, Patrick, how are you?
Hey, hey.
Sound check. Let's go. How many presenters do we have, by the way?
We have 3 updates.
Okay.
All right, is the alderman ready to go?
We should give him
Okay.
30 more seconds.
All right,
30
just let me
more
know when,
seconds.
and then
Okay.
just let me know when.
All right.
Thanks, Cornelia.
And then And then when we're finished, let's all hold hands in our mind and sing Kumbaya. Yeah.
So, what was the method for reaching out to the people? Because we didn't get the flyer to pass out. So what did we do?
Email blast, Alderman.
Okay. Always want a flyer.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Okay, all right, we have the alderman's ready to go. We have some people here. All right. Hey, Tim, good to see you. All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the roundtable.
Hello, Patrick.
Hello? Did someone ask me to wait?
No,
I
he's just
think-
speaking back to you.
Yeah,
He
they were
just
just
spoke back
saying
to you.
hello, Patrick. We can get
Oh,
going.
oh, sorry about that. Sorry about that. Okay. All right. I thought someone said, hold on. Okay. Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening. This is the Auburn Gresham Invest Southwest Community Roundtable. As you all know, this is our 14th time together under this particular platform. Our 19th total meeting. We've had a visioning session for the RFP. We've also had 3 in-person meetings in the month of June. And so we've met a lot, and we all feel, I think, very close together. And we love this platform to provide updates on what's happening in the Invest Southwest corridor. So the agenda this evening will have an update on the roundtables provided to us by Caroline Rendon, who is with LISC. We'll have an update on the RFP from the development team. And we also have an update from the artist in resident, Dorian Sylvan, working with DCASE, and we'll meet Mary Rose Pavkovic, our new DCASE project manager for this portfolio here in Auburn Gresham. And then we'll get a community update from the Greater Auburn Gresham Development Corporation. And then we'll have some open dialogue if necessary, but certainly we'll have our next steps and let you all know our next meeting date, and then we'll conclude the meeting for this evening. The goal is to have 10-minute updates, 10 to 12-minute updates by each presenter. And the goal is to conclude this by 7 o'clock. We all know that you have a busy evening scheduled respectively. So let's start our meeting with, let me introduce to you Caroline Rendon from the LISC Corporation. Caroline, good evening. Welcome to the roundtable.
Hi, Patrick. Thank you, and thanks for having me. I'll be very quick, well under 10 minutes. Good evening, everyone. As Patrick said, I'm Caroline Rendon. I work at LISC Chicago, and one of the initiatives that we've been working on is to sort of evaluate and understand how community engagement is going in Invest Southwest. And so my role tonight is just to let you all know to expect to see when Patrick sends out the email recap of this meeting, there's going to be a link to a survey in there. And we would love for everybody who's been an attendee at the roundtable to complete that survey. And our goal with that is really to see sort of how the roundtable is working according to its stated goals of kind of engaging a wide group of people, getting feedback on different investments, being a really valuable forum for community input and that kind of thing. So we just want to see how that's going. So there will be, as I said, a link to that survey in Patrick's follow-up email. And as well, the Alderman's office has paper copies of that survey as well for those who are more comfortable doing that kind of in a physical version. So we will take that survey feedback and then lead that into a future roundtable session where we'll kind of all talk through what we see in those surveys and think about ways to make steps we can take to make the roundtables really engaging and impactful. So, like Patrick said, we've been at this for about a year and a half, and it's just a good time to kind of reflect and see how things are going and get your feedback and input on how we can continue to do that and improve as well. So this is just, again, your heads up to look for that survey in your email follow-up or to go to the alderman's office. Ms. Cornelia Dawson has or will have tomorrow the paper copies of that survey, and we'll get those all collected over the next month or so. So I'm happy to take any questions, but that's really the whole update I was here for. I'll be lurking in the chat if anyone wants to ask any questions or say anything, but. Oh, is your hand raised, Cornelia?
Yeah, I just want to confirm our brief little discussion we had today. You're going to come by our office and physically drop those to us, the physical
That's right.
version of the survey, right? And then the
Yep.
email copy, it's been sent that you just spoke about. Has it been sent to the residents? Has it been email blasted to people already?
No, it was going to be included. Patrick typically sends a follow-up email at the end of a roundtable, just saying like, this is what we talked about. Here's the recording. So it would be included in that email. But we can send it to a broader list or a couple of times if you'd like. The goal is really to get it out as widely as possible.
All right, perfect. We'll talk about that offline too. Okay, thanks.
That
Thanks.
sounds great. Thank you.
Mhm.
Did I miss anything, Patrick or Jim?
No, Carolina, you did a wonderful job. You covered it. Thank you so much.
Great.
Are there any other
Thank
questions? Are there any other questions for Caroline? I don't see anybody. I don't see any hands around. Okay. All right. Thanks,
Thanks, everyone.
Caroline. Like you said, feel free to drop some questions or comments in the chat for Caroline. She'll stick around for a little bit and then she will respond. But thank you, Caroline, for stopping by the roundtable and providing us with that update on the survey. That, again, we hope you all take the opportunity to complete the survey once we send it out to you. I want to remind you all that we have a very high level of engagement that is being offered and provided not only through this platform, excuse me, but in the other things that are to come. As you all know, we touched about having a planning study, which there will be a community engagement component to that. There is going to be a community engagement component to the CDOT streetscape. And then obviously, as you all know, you all have our contact information here at the city. You always are welcome to communicate with us, when and how you choose. So we just want to make sure that you all know that there is plenty of opportunity to be involved and be part of the process of things that are happening and being announced before they happen and in the run up to these announcements, so that we make sure that the community is involved every step of the way. All right. Let me now kick it over to the Auburn Gresham RFP team. As you all know and remember, we went through a reboot, as it were, to re-socialize and re-engage the community in this development proposal. It was reshaped and redesigned with significant input from you, the neighborhood, the community, those who live, work, and play in Auburn Gresham, under the direction of the mayor, the alderman, as well as our commissioner. We hosted 3 in-person meetings. And again, I'll say thank you again for coming out during challenging times to make sure that your voices were heard. We all were able to participate in exercises under the guidance of the design team. And we all participated in reimagining this site. And what came out of that was now we are developing 2 sites, splitting the buildings up. And we're going to get an update right now from David Block, Tori Barrett, and the rest of the team who are here this evening to provide us with some latest and greatest. David, Tori, I'll turn it over to you. Thank you for joining the roundtable.
Thanks, Patrick. I will just be really brief. So Tori is here, Fred Spencer, his partner, our partner in the Imagine Evergreen joint venture is with us this evening as well. We are going to keep this update really brief as well to respect everybody's time. Mostly, we wanted to give folks an update on the discussions that we've been having with retail tenants for the first floor of these two buildings. As Patrick noted, we've got the building on the original RFP site, and then the building at the southeast corner of 79th and Halsted. And we've got interested, active potential retail tenants, and Tori will tell you a little bit about them. And those conversations, and some of them are actually here tonight. Then we'll talk a little bit about the overview of the schedule for the rest of this process, and then just a little bit about the construction contractor bidding, selection, and the community outreach process. So why don't I turn it over to Tori to talk a little bit about the retail side first.
Yep, sure. Thanks, David. Good evening, everyone. Excited that we are continuing in this process and happy to see that we're back together again. And I'm going to be extremely brief. We've had a few conversations with some of the tenants that are anchor tenants of other developments that have expressed interest about opening up in this particular area. And then we've also had some conversations with tenants that live directly in the community. And so the two that do not live in a community, but that are currently operating space in some of the other areas that we have developed. One is called the Sports Shed. And again, the Sports Shed is a nonprofit sporting good organization similar to like a Dick's. But what they do is they take major donations from corporations and then they resell them to individuals, schools, and nonprofits at a significant discount rate, typically around 10% of what you would pay at a Dick's. So, if it's a football helmet costs $200 at Dick's, you can typically get it from the Sports Shed for about $20. And so I'm attempting to have some conversations with their leadership and Principal Shaka over at Leo to see if we can figure out a way to incorporate them into the overall programming. And then the other one is a restaurant that we talked to in the past called the Park Supper Club. They're currently located in the Washington Park community inside the Clio Art Residences. And I encourage anyone on the call who wants to come by and schedule a visit over at the park, please do that. You could see what type of dining experience that they want to bring to that particular community. And then I've been working with Pat Hill. I do see that she's joined the call this evening, and she referred me to a couple of chefs that are also interested in opening up some space in this area. Not completely sure what that program is going to look like yet. I think one wants to do a community kitchen where they're able to teach and hire folks and then also serve the community. And so, Pat, I don't know if you want to talk just a little bit about the experience that we've had.
Hi, Tori. Sure. Tori and I've been, we spoke several times, and I did introduce him to two young people that grew up in the community. One is Jasmine Cook, she's a chef, and the other one is Megan Coleman, she's a photographer. They both already have been in, Jasmine has been doing what she's doing for years, and so have Megan. And Tori, if you want, they're both on the line. If you want them to speak a little bit about what they're doing. Jasmine is my daughter. She was raised in the community. She graduated from Oglesby, as did Megan Coleman, and they graduated from Simeon Career Academy. So if you want, both of them are on, and they can probably better explain to you what it is that they're doing.
Sure, thanks, Pat. Yeah, Jasmine and Megan, if you wouldn't mind, maybe just 60-second high level kind of what your program is and what desires you have to bring to this particular space. And then for us, the next steps as we get closer is to work with the architects and see if we can carve out what that square footage would look like. But just high level, Megan and Jasmine would be great.
Hi, I'll go first. So just a high level description of what I'm trying to bring to the community. It's a kitchen and food business incubator. Basically, it'll be rental kitchen space for other culinary entrepreneurs that will specialize in culinary and baking. And then we will also offer catering services, and we will also offer cooking classes to the community, especially the youth and our senior citizen community as well.
Okay, great. Thank you. Megan?
All right, yeah, and just a description of what I'll be doing is with the photography space and production space, doing photography as well, but then also offering lessons for youth and giving them a space to create, exposing them to creative spaces with photography production, teaching them things outside of photography too, as well as teaching them how to produce, how to direct, how to write scripts, and then bringing in people who are high performers in these particular industries, and then kind of exposing them to the arts and giving them a creative outlet.
Wonderful, thanks. And so again, before I turn it over to David, one of the things that's going to be critical for making sure that both of these organizations are successful is helping them with their neighborhood opportunity fund applications. And so I do have some experience with that. And we will be, helping both of them once we've identified what the square footage is and where exactly they're going to be located to make sure that they can get the resources needed to build out their spaces. So I will turn it back over to David. Thanks.
Thank you, Tori. So in terms of the overall schedule for the project, we have been working hard on our financing behind the scenes. So we've been working with our contractor, Cornelius Griggs at GMA Construction. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to be here tonight, so I'm the part that he would have spoken about a little bit later.
He's actually on, David.
Oh, is he? Okay. Awesome. That is good. So
hey,
I will
David,
turn it over.
I'm actually on the call.
All right, so I'll turn it over to you in just a second, Cornelius, but we've been working with him and his team to figure out a price for this. And once we got that price, we could figure out the financing structure. So we submitted the applications to the City Department of Housing, Department of Planning and Development, and it is now going through the underwriting process. So every aspect of our budget, our capital budget, our operating budget is reviewed and scrutinized, and we'll be going out to solicit debt and equity investments within the next 4 weeks or so. As we're doing that, we are doing some environmental testing on the sites. So you may actually see a truck with a little drill rig on the back out looking at both of these sites in the next week or two. We have to make sure that these sites are environmentally not contaminated. Preliminary results were promising that we're not expecting to see any bad environmental conditions there, but the investors require that we do some tests. So we'll go and get those tests, and if they come back clean, we're in good shape. If they identify any contaminants, then we'll have to go through a process of working with the state to get a plan that basically gives these sites a clean bill of environmental health. While we're doing that, the city will be working behind the scenes on a whole series of things that are needed to ultimately get to city council. There is a redevelopment agreement that needs to get processed. There is a housing process that happens with housing tax credits. And so the idea is that these projects will be going in front of various committees, the Chicago Community Development Commission, and ultimately the city council and some subcommittees of the city council, probably by early spring of next year. And the goal is that we will get to have all the steps finished and be in a position to start construction on the project probably around July of next year. So that's the schedule that we're working on. And so far things are more or less on track. Why don't we wrap up our update here since Cornelius is here. Cornelius can talk a little bit about his experience and his intentions of community hiring, community subcontracting, and the outreach piece of the construction process.
Thanks, David. I'm excited to be here this evening. My apologies for not being available via camera. I got the invite a little late, so I'm in the midst of travel right now. But wanted to make sure I was here to one, support the team, also provide an update on where we stand from a construction perspective. As David mentioned, we've provided our initial conceptual budget to the team. They've taken that budget and we've been able to refine it a bit so that they can go in and start pursuing their financing options. Knowing that we're chasing a July start, I think things on our end will start to hit or become heavy in January, and we will start to see construction documents develop a little bit more, and then we'll start to put our plan together for community engagement, community hiring, and also subcontracting opportunities. So as we roll into the first part of next year, we'll start to see more of those opportunities roll out. So you have the contact information for the team. We welcome any opportunity to get contractors engaged. So if you have contractors that are available, please forward those over to the team that the community might want to see be a part of this opportunity, so that GMA can start to meet them, vet them, and start to get them involved in the process. From a community hiring perspective, we'll probably see that start to take shape around spring of next year, where we start to reach out once we have a clearly defined scope and opportunity, start to have some hiring fairs where we can start to vet folks from the community who are interested in working on either one of these sites. As you'll see with any of the sites that we do around Chicago, and we have about 21 projects going on around the city of Chicago right now, we are very passionate about ensuring that we have a solid base of community hires. So that's at the top of our list, to one, ensure our subcontractors hire locally, but also GMA, we employ laborers and carpenters and painters and such. So we look to hire those individuals as well to be fixtures on these project sites. So I appreciate the time today, and we'll take any questions via email or the such. Thanks.
Cornelius, why don't you drop your or the team drop a email in the chat so that folks know exactly how to reach you guys, so that when opportunities are ready to be presented, they already know when to reach out to you or how to. So if you guys don't mind, just drop your contact in the chat box so people can pick that up.
Sure thing.
I'm sorry, David. Sorry.
Yeah, I think that's really what we intended to cover, knowing that we're really looking at a pretty short 10-minute update here. So that's the overview.
Okay. All right. Thanks. All right. I see some comments in the chat here. I don't want to ignore them. And they are centered around grocery store, pharmacy, where priorities the community have requested, weren't they? Yes. Okay, what else we have here? We have a lot of work going on in 79th Street, Healthy Hub, etc. From my observation, workers are on these are high-paying jobs that we put the composition. Okay, and then lastly here, I see a comment here echoing. Okay, so let me just try to touch up on that for a second. I cannot answer direct questions about the Healthy Lifestyle Hub. GAGDC is here. They have a spot on the agenda. They'll talk about their update at the appropriate time in the agenda. But I want to just touch on the comments regarding the grocery store and other items that were on the wish list of projects. And so, yes, we all remember the grocery store being a priority for this community. And I want to remind you all that that was also a #1 recommendation that came out of the mayor's Racial Equity Rapid Response Task Force that was engaged in looking at the issues and coming up with solutions during last summer's height of the COVID pandemic, and how the city was being impacted by that, plus the security and public safety issues. And so in Auburn Gresham, that was the number one, or one of the that was the number one issue on that. And so we are continuing, let me just say that right here, we are continuing. DPD is continuing to examine that at a very high level, how to deliver the grocery store, a grocery store to this community. As you all know, the Auburn Gresham community has a number of stores that sell foods, right? But there's always room for, I think, one that is closer to the central hub of where the community resides. And, we understand that the Walmart is a distance away, the Jewel at 87th is a distance away, and the Walmart Express on Ashland is a distance away. The Discount Meats on Vincennes and 79th is a little bit, west or east of the central area. So we are continuing to look of how best to locate a grocer in the heart of Auburn Gresham. As you all remember, it is very easy to build a store. We have to find an operator. And so we continue to work to do that. So I don't want anyone here to think that we're not talking about a grocery store. We just don't have an announcement today to, inform community that, we have a grocery store. And actually, before that even happens, we will be bringing that to the community, right? Keep in mind, we have a very engaged neighborhood here. You all are very committed to making sure, as we are, that the residents of this community are prioritized in the things that are happening. So just like, we recognize where we could have, improved our outreach, we did so, and we will continue to, stay on that level of high level engagement with you. So we wouldn't just bring a grocery store without your input. So like I said to a few folks here in the chat, stay tuned. Stay tuned. When we have an announcement, we will bring that to you. Please trust and believe.
Patrick,
yes.
if I may add, if you don't mind, that is also the priority of the development team as well. We heard the community loud and clear throughout that process, and we are doing everything we can to find a operator.
Here you go. All right. If there are, so, I understand the chat, but folks, please feel free to open dialogue. That's also, welcomed here. We don't have to just chat. We can talk. You guys can unmute and raise your hand and speak freely. And we can do that now, or we can do it, after the updates. So hearing and seeing nobody's hand raised, we'll just continue on so that we can make sure that we get all the updates before our time has expired. So with that being said, continue to chat in the box if you want to, but I, again, welcome you to speak freely at the appropriate time. So right now we're going to move to Dorian Sylvan and Mary Rose Pavkovic to give us an update on the Artist in Resident program. Mary Rose, who's new to the roundtable, please say hello and I welcome you.
Hello, everybody. Nice to be here. Nice to be part of this initiative, and really excited to be working with Dorian Sylvain on creating a beautiful, colorful placemaking opportunity for your neighborhood. I've worked with Dorian before, and she is very thoughtful, creative, and very much community driven. So I'm excited to be part of the discussion and part of the development of creating an exciting place that's filled with color and art in Auburn Gresham. So, and I'm just here to listen right now. And it's all very I'm pleased to be here and nice to meet you all. With that, I give you Dorian.
All right, good evening, everybody. It's great to be a part of this. This whole journey has really been exciting, and tonight I'm really pleased to give you an update because this year for me has been about relationship building. It has been about listening. It has been about really taking in the full community of Auburn Gresham. I think I'd introduced myself a few meetings back, but I was born and raised on the South Side and have been very committed to South Shore, Inglewood, Bronzeville for the past 4 decades of my artistic career. And so Auburn Gresham for me is a new community. I actually have friends and relations there, but I haven't done a lot of work there. So this year has been very important to build foundation. So I wanted to kind of share some of the things that I've been doing and then talk, excuse me, and then talk a little bit about the big project, the capstone project that we're aiming for 2022. Who's controlling the PowerPoint? Because we can go to the next slide.
Yeah, I got it, Dorian. Just let
Okay.
me know slide and then I'll.
Yeah, we can go to the next slide. That's actually, yeah, okay. So I'm not going to read all this. Let's go to the next slide. That just kind of talks about my intention. So in terms of things that I've been doing, usually when I go into community, the first 2 places that I try to build relationships are at the schools and the libraries. And so I went to Thurgood Marshall Library and developed a relationship so that I could run a program through the library this summer. And we focused particularly on the high school students in the neighborhood. A lot of them actually came from U Media, which is a program that they run through the library, typically during the school year. And so we were able to, as you see in these images, get a nice group of kids, a nice cohort of young people that we met every Saturday for almost 4 hours every Saturday for almost 10 weeks. And the library provided lunch for the kids every day. We fundamentally, no, it's in my throat, sorry. Basically, what I was trying to do with this group of kids is what I called an arts council. And so we talked a lot about Auburn Gresham. We talked a lot about public art. And then we used the Thurgood Marshall Library as a case study. And some of the images that you're looking at were the students doing research on who Thurgood Marshall is, doing collage work on images from Thurgood Marshall's life. And they started off doing small individual projects, design projects, and then we built up until we did one large project that is ultimately going to be put into proposal format for the library to consider as an exterior mural. Next slide. So also I've realized that all roads lead through GAGDC. And through my relationship with them, I have gotten involved in some other community organizations. One in particular is the AGNN, which is the Neighborhood Network. And so I've been participating in those meetings and meeting principals via email and Zoom. But I had reached out to the entire group about August because I realized that the students are about to return to school after a very long absence. And so we thought it would be kind of fun to sort of decorate the sidewalk as they walked into school with welcome back signs and, you know, just colorful, pretty images. So we had originally called out to public to come and help us, but the Sunday before school was supposed to start was a big rainstorm scheduled, and chalk and rain just don't work. So we had to downscale it a little bit, but we were able to get some things in place before students arrived that Monday morning. Also, one of the things that's very common on the South Side are what I call these fence nameplates, and we see them on a lot of schools, and they serve a very functional purpose because you're not always able to find the name of the school easily. And being at these schools, many of them take up almost a whole square block. So one of the things that I decided I wanted to do was the principals that reached out to me to give me permission to do these chalk paintings. I thought I would that I would redo their nameplates. Part of it is because I'm a bit of an art snob and I kind of felt like, oh, I can do a better job. But the other part of me felt that some of these were kind of weathered and it'd be nice to kind of upgrade them. So as you see here in this example, Oglesby School was one of the first ones we did. And I also want to kind of be a little more playful with the fonts and this, that, and the other. So Oglesby, we ended up completely redoing it, reinstalled it. We have Cook Academy that we just finished. We're about to install Cook Academy. And then Joplin and Barton, I think, were the other. So it's 4 schools altogether that I've kind of developed this relationship with. And so just throwing in little things that we can do artistically to kind of upgrade the aesthetics of the experience there. Next slide. So the next thing I'm doing, which is partially about my passion as a teaching artist, and then partially about my interest in talking to community. So what I did is I struck up a relationship with Afro Joe's, and they've agreed to let me come in on Sundays for a small window of time, about 11 to 1, and kind of bring pop-up art activities, art making. So recently we were just there for Halloween, and we had 3 different stations for the kids or the families. It wasn't strictly kids, but a lot of parents joined right in. But we had face painting, which was a little awkward with COVID. It was more like forehead painting or arm painting. We had pumpkins that we had purchased and made little witch caps for them, and then had all these materials out for the kids to decorate the hats and the pumpkins, you know, googly eyes, rhinestones, feathers, the whole 9 yards. And then we had a station. My sons run a bike shop and a skate shop in Boxville called the Bike Box. And they were given a huge donation of helmets this year. And so we actually had a lot of helmets left. So I thought this might be an opportunity to also give away some helmets. So we also set up a station for bike helmets and allowed the kids to also decorate those or personalize them with paint markers, or, you know, just had a wealth of materials available for them so they could just kind of have fun. It was super successful. We had a lot of kids come out, a lot of families, I should say, because that was really the intent. It was really about families. So the art making activities are family friendly, but while we're there, I'm very interested in talking to the parents and engaging with the parents and talking about public space, talking about public art, talking about things that they like or they desire to see in the neighborhood. So it really is a great opportunity just to connect with the neighborhood. And we have 5 more pop-up scheduled with Afro Joe's, and we're going to try to squeeze 5 more in before the Christmas holiday. But a lot of old school arts and crafts. This next session is going to be paper bag puppets. Now that is like something a lot of kids have never even heard of, let alone done. But I do this project often with young people and they love it, love it, love it. You know, paper, glue, scissors, googly eyes, it's big fun. So, so anyway, I have a schedule lined up, all free. We're blasting it on social media, trying to build more audience for that. Next slide. Let's pass. Oh, okay. I'm not going to read it all, but just 3 bullet points I wanted to bring up tonight. And that is looking toward 2022. 2021, as I mentioned, was really about relationship building, about just kind of getting my feet planted in Auburn Gresham. 2022 is really about trying to hone in on what this large capstone project is going to be. And so I'm going to continue having these make art, talk art sessions. However, I'm going to move outside of Afro Joe's and go to other businesses so that I can connect with other families and other community members to continue dialoguing. Also, there's some lot activations. There are a few city lots that have been cleared out, that have had fencing put around them, that are being maintained. And so we've been talking about how we can do some visual activations in those spaces. And my basic idea is that I want to create an installation with elements that I can invite community to come out and help paint and help decorate and actually help assemble. So that's going to be kind of an early spring thing, but over the winter months, we'll be kind of solidifying it. And then finally is the capstone project. Right now, my working title is Colors of Community. And let's go to the next slide. Actually, the next couple of slides, before I talk about that capstone project, let me just, I think there's 4, yeah, there you go, just roll through them. These are just kind of a visual survey of 79th Street. And I'm trying to hone in on some properties that I think are particularly in need. Okay, we're gonna land right here on inspiration. You can land right there. So what I'm looking at as a public artist, as a community artist, is that I'm very concerned with environment and creating inspired environments. One of the things that has been plaguing South Shore, the neighborhood I grew up in, the neighborhood that my family spent almost 6 decades living in, is the idea of the disinvestment, which ultimately leads to community blight. And community blight is a psychological, emotional burden on community members. And so I really, in many points in my career, I have really very consciously tried to tackle community blight. And when I look at the 79th Street corridor and I see so many businesses that boarded up, I think, what can we do with those spaces to make them more inspired? Every business, every space doesn't have to be occupied and functioning, but spaces do not need to look scary and uninspired and dead. And so I think through art and through some of these public activations that we can tackle that idea of blight, but most importantly, come together to create an inspired space particularly for our children, but for all of us. And this is my inspiration. These are my inspiration photos. In Philadelphia, which is like the capital of mural arts, these are some of the projects they've been working on. And one of the things, aside from community blight, that is kind of a pet peeve of mine is just the monochromatic landscape that we typically have in urban environments, such as brick buildings and concrete sidewalks. And so once winter hits and all the green leaves fall down, we're left with browns and grays. And so I find, and what I'm talking to community about is this idea of finding a stretch along our business corridor in which we can make a really bold, artistic, colorful, inspired statement. And so through the rest of the winter, I'm going to be continuing to talk about this and get feedback, start creating more specific sketches and concepts, speaking to business owners and continuing to speak to educators and to the young people of the community. So with that, that's kind of where I'm at the moment. And thank you for giving me a moment to just kind of give this update and presentation.
No, thanks a lot, Dorian, and also Mary Rose. But certainly, Dorian, thank you for sharing with us in better, in broader, and more deeper detail your why and your passion. And I think I'm hopeful, like hopefully people now like me feel a much more organic sense of how your work will contribute to this community and especially on this corridor. And I can't wait for the end result. Right. Are there any questions for Dorian? Any questions for Dorian?
I haven't been paying attention to the chat because I've been running my mouth. Was there anything that?
I
Well,
do have
yeah.
a question. Good evening, everyone, and happy Wednesday. I do
Hey.
have a question for Dorian. Hi.
Sure.
Hi, Coretta.
Hi.
We know
Good
each
to see
other
you
from
again.
the Murray days. Our kids went to school,
That's
grammar
Murray
school.
mom.
Sidebar. Okay, what's your question?
So my question is, you mentioned 4 of the AG Gold schools.
Yes.
I believe there are 5, correct? And
You know,
maybe
there
someone
might
from
be
GAG?
5. There might be 5, Coretta. I think 4 of them responded to me, but I
Oh,
can
okay,
always
I got
reach
you.
back and put that 5th in the mix. Absolutely.
Okay. And then also too, with regards to the project at Thurgood Marshall, I'm very familiar with U Media. My children were very involved there at Thurgood Marshall.
Yes.
Is that a closed group now?
You know, it really, I did not, I was not successful in extending it into the school year because the library, like a lot of environments, are still trying to figure out their landscape. So our commitment was really just for the summer. And interesting, just to add on as another point, I also reached out and did a project at Whitney Young Library. And I know that they're outside of the Auburn Gresham by just a little bit, but they're also on that 79th Street corridor. So it was another opportunity for me to connect with young people generally in this greater Arbor Gresham, zone. So I ended up simultaneously doing a project with Thurgood Marshall, which focused on mural making, and then did a project with the students at Whitney Young Library, and we focused on photography. But they both are about community, public space, art engagement.
Okay, thank you. And that's 79th King Drive, Whitney Young.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Coretta. Okay, I don't see any more questions and I don't see any in the chat. I just want to thank you all so far. Those who are putting their email addresses in the chat box, I'm collecting them. Miss Coyote, Dr. Lusby, and Tatiana Williams, I got your emails. I'll add you to the distribution list. So you should be catching our correspondence from here on out. Now, if I may, I'd like to introduce Norma Sanders. I know part of your team is here tonight. I see Kaim Anderson is here from the Greater Auburn Gresham Development Corp. I'm going to allow you some space here to provide an update. Norma, thank you for joining the roundtable.
Yes, good evening again. I have a very brief update, honestly, because I wasn't prepared for anything other than that. So I just wanted to say for our Auburn Gresham Always Growing projects, which the ones that you are most familiar with is the Auburn Gresham Healthy Lifestyle Hub, but there's also the Anaerobic Digester and Urban Green Air Urban Farm Campus on 650 West 83rd Street. Those 2 projects are on schedule. We have had a couple of little glitches with procurement deliveries, as most of the world has, but it has not put us behind schedule. And so really, Patrick, that's all I kind of wanted to share today. I do know there are a couple things in the chat. So I do have, yes, Kaim, Carlos is on the call as well. And I think Teresa Prim, I saw her on today. So if we could probably do a presentation at the next roundtable, or we can try to address anything very quickly today.
So,
but we definitely look forward to a presentation of both projects for Always Growing Up.
Yeah, thank you, Norma. Sorry, I didn't see Carlos on there. My apologies, Mr. CEO. Hello.
Yeah, greetings. Hey. Yeah,
All right,
and I
all
just
right.
really quickly, Patrick, and I just want to say, I mean, how awesome the synergistic developments and plans. Just hearing Dorian, who participates regularly in the Auburn Gresham Neighborhood Network meetings, and she's always so very inspiring. And then Dave and Tori and Cornelius's presentation and plans, and then of course to hear Jasmine and Megan. I mean, that really is what the growth of our community is all about. I am here Our development project consultant is also on, Teresa Prim, if there are any specific questions needed. So I just wanted to say, hey.
There was a question in the chat earlier regarding the jobs on the Healthy Lifestyle Hub. And I think it intimated about whether or not the workforce working did not represent the community. So why don't you just speak to some of the local hiring efforts that you guys have been doing at the project at 839?
Yeah, I'll start that off and then, I'll start it off 30 seconds and then Teresa. So we kicked it off with our own, with a 10 or 12 member cohort of brothers and sisters from the community working, doing demolition in the project. They were trained, many of them came from Target Area Development, St. Sabina, GAGDC, OpBiz, New Pisgah CSO, and just really bringing our own local workforce to kick off the demolition and then moving into the asbestos, the environmental remediation work. That's been really a boon for those brothers and sisters, and subsequently bringing on the 2 GCs. I know Teresa can probably speak a little bit more eloquently about Morgan Harbor and Ujamaa Construction.
Good evening. Is my mic on?
Yeah, we can hear you, Teresa.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, let me. Good evening. So just briefly, because I know people have asked the question. I wasn't prepared to give the specific laborers numbers tonight, but let me just give a general sense of the project in terms of minority participation. So this project is being carried out in 2 phases. We're looking at roughly a $17 million development project that has 2 phases to it. One is the core and shell of the building, and then the second phase is the actual interior tenant build out. Ujamaa Construction, a minority construction firm, is doing all of the interior build out, and they carry about 60% of that contract amount. So the 60% of that $17 million. Morgan Harbor is doing the core and shell. Both Morgan Harbor and Ujamaa committed to exceed the MBE subcontractor participation. Morgan Harbor has exceeded that, and they're at about 40%. And Ujamaa is planning to have at least a 50 to 60% MBE participation. Our total development team is actually a very diverse team. I am a minority-owned and operated firm, and I serve as the real estate development consultant on this project. Millhouse, a well-regarded engineering firm, is the owner's rep on the project, and we have our Auburn Gresham local AGB security that's been securing the site from the very beginning. So we're pleased with that. At the next meeting, I can provide information very specifically on the workforce. It is a job that much of the work has been going on in the interior. So I know people have had comments about concerns about what the minority participation is. And I assure you there have been, starting off with the 10 that Carlos mentioned that kicked this project off and were provided with specific skill training in asbestos and lead removal and demolition, and are now going to be able to earn wages upwards of $40 an hour. That's how we started this project, and we've been focusing on making sure that minorities are working as well as subcontractors are hired on the project. And again, the next meeting, I'll give a very specific detail on that workforce, as well as all the breakdown of all the subcontractors that are on the project.
Okay, thank you, Carlos, Teresa, Norma, and the GAGDC team for providing us with that information that hopefully now puts to rest, or at least eases some concerns from those in community who are concerned about the participation of folks in the community that look like us and want to have contracting, opportunities on this project. Given that it's $16 million, that's a lot of opportunity, and I'm thankful that you guys are doing your best effort to make sure that there's participation. And again, thank you for also offering in future roundtables to provide more detailed numbers and updates, and just to be responsive and transparent, so that people here know that folks are working or have a chance to be on the project and or can have a chance to apply for opportunities if they exist. So thank you very much for that update. I see that we have Alderman Moore as well as Alderman Sawyer is here this evening. And so we thank you for joining us. Do you all have any updates from your offices? And now I will let Alderman Sawyer's office go first, and I'll let Alderman Moore close us out. Alderman Sawyer, if you have any updates from the 6th Ward.
Good evening, everyone, and good evening, Patrick. No specific updates as it relates to the Auburn Gresham roundtable. I was just happy to listen in and excited about the work that's going on with my neighbor. You know, like everything else, I hope it spreads on and keeps going up 79th Street. So I want to listen in and give my support to David and what's going on, because it's just a couple of blocks to the west of me. So it still affects the 6th Ward, and I want to hear a little bit about it.
Thanks, Alderman. Appreciate your input. And we are trying to get over in the 6th Ward and do some more, as you know. Alderman Moore.
Yes.
I'll yield the floor to you if you have anything you want to contribute, update, or add, or just inform. So
Absolutely. First of all, thank you all, and thank all the residents for being on. And we're going to continue to work to make sure that we're more inclusive and making sure we get more residents involved. I want to thank Alderman Sawyer for being on this call, and it just really encourage people as you drive. We live in a neighborhood and we live beyond what we call wards. So if you haven't visited 75th Street corridor, whether it's at some of the restaurants there or even some of the bars there, definitely support those, as well as continue to support the bars and the restaurants here in our on this side of the Dan Ryan, because it's very critical that as we bring these businesses in, that we continue to sustain them. I think Melinda Kelly was on the call, and she's been doing an excellent job in making sure that these businesses, especially during the COVID, was able to stay afloat, and that becomes very critical when we keep these businesses going. So whether it's Brewer Cafe that I want people to continue to support, again, if you haven't been in there, definitely go in there, buy a cup of coffee, buy a sandwich, and you'll see that it's a nice place to visit and eat. Also, the new boutique at this corner of 79th and Morgan collection for mostly you ladies or you men, as the holidays are coming, to go in there and buy some items for your sister, your significant other, or whomever. Again, the young lady, she came in, put a nice store together, made it look just like, you know, almost downtown, if you will, or what you would find in the South Loop or in Hyde Park. And she did an excellent job, her and her husband. And so we want to continue, we want to support those stores as they come here to our community. One of the things I want to also talk about, and this is very important as we fought to keep Walgreens open, I cannot say it enough, make sure that we're going in there and making our purchases. Again, we want to make sure those stores remain here. Just, I think, a few days ago, 6 days ago or something like that, Aldi closed on the west side of Chicago. And as Save-A-Lot closed here and other places, these things are happening throughout the city, but it's very important that we must utilize these stores so we can make sure that they stay open. I know Alderman Irvin, that was a challenge for him, that as it is a challenge for us. And so as we continue to do that, I know sometimes the developer groups, they don't want to put out too much because they don't want to make people think, you know, they're promising something that they can't deliver. But I want to give a big shout out to Evergreen. There was a store that reached out to me, actually through some friends, and then I've turned them on to Evergreen, and they've been in those communications with that store. And hopefully we can bring something there and close that deal there. But it's at least those conversations are being had, and I like the fact that, you know, Evergreen is you know, they're being cautious as they should be, but at least we got to let people know that we are having those strong conversations with real store owners. And hopefully we can bring something to 78th Street, right across the street from the police station. And the other thing is, as we look at that Save-A-Lot space and as things are changing in terms of how people shop, one of my mentees, as I got everybody on the ground, always looking for groceries. One of my mentees by the name of Bruce Wilson, who came here to intern with me. He went on to Hampton University, got his degree, and he's getting into investment. And there's this startup company that he connected with that they have a concept, and they came to the Save-A-Lot maybe a week ago. He introduced me to them. They came out to the Save-A-Lot store the other day. And one of the things, the concept they want to bring, and again, it's all in the beginning stages, and nothing to happen until I bring it out to the community, but just letting you know what's going on, is that they want to bring in a store, and it's not necessarily a store that you go just shop in, but what they're seeing, because what they're seeing in the pattern of a lot of people are ordering online. So when we're talking about the good work that Megan and Jasmine can do in the community and bringing the community kitchen, those products that people make at their kitchen can be sold at their store. So it gives them a greater opportunity than just shelf space, because it's online. So if I like those cookies, if I'm ordering those cookies always online, or if I'm ordering grandma's chicken always online, then that's what they supply. And it's an online concept that they want to bring. So hopefully they can work a deal out with the owner of Save-A-Lot, where they can see that if the rents match up to what they can do, and hopefully we can pull that through. So those are the type of things that we must focus on. I mentioned Brewer Cafe, but I don't want to forget about what's over in West Chatham. If you haven't been to the taco spot right at 79th and Yale, and also Legends Chicken and Fish. These are people who live in the community that open these spaces up. And we want to make sure that we support them. So definitely let's continue to do that. And then a last piece, as we're looking for safe spaces for not only our youth, but things for our residents to do. One of the things, and I want people to call my office, and I want you to sign up, and you can leave your name, because I want to get at least 20 people or more to take through. And this is in Rod Sawyer's ward currently, but again, it's beyond ward boundaries. We're a community. CYDI, the Community Youth Development Institute, right at 78th and Union. They're doing some great work there, and they want to open that school up to the community. This is where people are not only able to make the sewing machines, where our kids are making their own clothes and they started their own business. They want the community to come out and do that as well. Also, they got a studio in there. They have a virtual reality technology equipment where they're building communities, where they're doing 3D processing and making different items. They have a sound booth in there where they're teaching kids or even adults who want to learn how to do music. And so all those things are in our neighborhood, and it's a great outlet. So me talking to it, and I think Alderman Sawyer went on a tour as well. He can speak to it as well. But me talking to it does it no justice for what they are doing over there at CYDI, Community Youth Development Institute. And they're in partnership, of course, with New Joy Divine. That's where it started from, on 76th Street. So when our churches get involved, we can do a lot. They opened the school there years ago under Reverend Royster, who by just coincidence was my sixth grade gym teacher at Hinton. Then he became a pastor, and then he opened the CYDI school, which is supposed to have been an alternative school, but it's gone up and above past what we call an alternative school. And they want to open that up to the community. So we want to make sure we get people into that. So if you're interested in taking a tour of that place, please call my office at 773-783-3672. Have your name added to the list. Say, we want to do this CYDI tour. And then when we get enough people who continue to be interested, I've taken some groups in there already, but when we get enough people, we'll set a date and we'll go inside CYDI and take that tour in the community, because they want to open it up for the residents of Auburn Gresham to have not only for youth to have an after school experience, but also for our adults and everybody to have a place to go to experience and hone in on some of their talents that they may have. So those are some of the things that, you know, would definitely that's going on in the 17th Ward Auburn Gresham area. There, of course, there's things going on the Inglewood side as well as the Chicago Lawn side. But today is our focus for the Auburn Gresham area, and we want to continue to do that. The last thing I want to say, Patrick Budis talked about the streetscape. When this streetscape idea comes, plan comes out, and the community comes out to input, I want you to be creative. Really think about how the streetscape should look on 79th. Go Google some things that's going on in other cities to get some ideas, but make sure your touch and what you want to see in your community is put within that streetscape. So don't wait till the last minute and just get something, say, and you think of the old things that normally go there. Go online and research different streetscapes in different cities, get some ideas, and then fit it to your own needs and your own thoughts of what you want the streetscape along 79th Street to look like. So with that said, that's all I have for now. And let's continue to stay involved. And as we had a great community meeting last quarter. And as we continue to move forward through these holiday seasons, you'll be listening out. People still are struggling from COVID and need assistance. So of course, we're going to be doing turkey giveaways. We're going to be doing some food for our seniors at our senior buildings. And we're going to be doing different things. So stay on the watch for it. Make sure that you're looking at your emails. Make sure that if we don't have your email, you call our office and make sure we have your email so that you can get all of the information in our newsletter. So thank you so much to everyone.
Thank you, Alderman Moore, for that update. I see your chief of staff has her hand up. Thank you again for that. Hopefully all took notes on what the alderman just laid out. That was really good information. Please make sure you have your contact information over to his office so you can get more information on the latest and greatest that he's providing out of the 17th Ward office. Cornelia.
Yes, I want to piggyback off of what Alderman Moore said. He didn't emphasize with CYDI, these are certifications where a person can immediately come out and go into a career. Certifications in construction, manufacturing, including OSHA 10, OSHA 30, CPR, first aid, operations and logistics, multimedia design, he mentioned that. Also certifications in culinary and food service and technology. You could become Microsoft Office certified. So all of these things that I mentioned go straight into good high-paying jobs with benefits.
Thank you, Cornelia. And I think Melinda just put something in the chat, but I'd rather her speak it out.
Yeah, Melinda, please just go ahead and articulate what you just wrote in the chat so we can make sure.
Yes, I just wanted to remind them they were a great resource. They can do websites for businesses. They can help you with the social media, build websites, and they can do great signage in the corridor for the businesses. That's economical but appropriate and looks very good. So on windows and vacant lots. So they definitely should be included in the artistic thought process that goes on in the commercial corridor.
Yeah, that's awesome. And remember, some of these skills that these folks are learning, and as the alderman encouraged you all to go do a site visit, see if you can bring people there to get some of these additional skills and talent. These are some opportunities that will play out in the big picture with all the new retail coming along 79th Street. They will need websites. They will need signage. They will need maybe folks with OSHA skills. All these things we're just continuing to build off of one another that will make or continue to make 79th Street and Auburn Gresham a viable corridor that's thriving beyond our imagination. I did overlook Carla Glover, who is the chief of staff for Alderman Brooklyn in the 21st Ward. Carla, do you have any updates you want to provide? Is she still here? Okay, I think Carla. Carla, you're still there. Hey, Carla. Well, I'll just shout out a plug for Afro Joe's, which is in the 21st Ward, part of the corridor along Halsted at 83rd. They're doing amazing things. And again, you know, some of these businesses in the 21st Ward as well as the 17 are getting their applications in to expand their businesses and, you know, get these grants that are NOF and or SPIF. And quick commercial, we will have CDOT come back to the December roundtable to provide a thorough update on the streetscape project, as well as announce the starting point for their public process for that project as well. And finally, we have a small business improvement fund round for 79th and Vincennes. So for some of the businesses that are in that TIF district along Vincennes, going up and down north of 79th Street, there will be a small business improvement fund round that will be let out December 1st and will close on the 31st. So for some of the businesses in the community that are on that eastern part of the community and the ward, there will be a spiff coming out for you guys as well. Okay, yeah, okay, no problem, Carla. Okay, so I don't have any more updates. It was a pleasure reconvening the roundtable with you all this evening. Thank you for all those who participated. I have all your emails, those who decided to leave it in the chat box as new folks. We thank the Alderman, Carla Glover's office, the 21st Ward. We thank Alderman Sawyer, and we thank, of course, the 17th Ward, Alderman Moore, for coming this evening and providing us with information that is timely and relevant. I thank you all, and we'll see you in December. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
All right, good night, everybody. Jim, I think I need you to shut this down when you're ready. Jim's still here.
Good night.
Good night, everyone. Thank you for coming. See you in December. Stay tuned for updates in the email.
Thank you.
All right.
Good night.
Good night. Good night. All right, Tim, you can reach out to me, man. All right, Barbara. All right, Carlos. All right, Giovanni. Thank you, Ms. Pruitt.